WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Monday at 4 o'clock. So it must be the Community Bell Show. Thank you for joining us this Sunday, sunny Monday in Detroit. And for us, it's warm outside. And I'm happy about it. But what I'm really happy about is that I'm here and I feel so much better. Let me tell you, I was a sick little puppy for 10 days or so. That is not like me, but I'm just happy. I'm feeling better. Happy to be back with you. And so just happy that it's a sunny day that I came back and not ugly and rainy and all that good stuff. Thank you to Dwight Harris. Thank you, Dwight, for sitting in for me last week. You did a great job. I knew you would. Thank you for sitting in, and thank you for your guest. Oftentimes we see people and we don't know their story. And it's good to be able to have somebody tell their own story. And so I just appreciate you and your guests talking about your stories and where you've come from, but more importantly, what you're doing now and how you're reaching out and helping others and helping our entire community, as a matter of fact, because, our babies and our young people need so much help. And they need to know that they are not the only ones who are going through some stuff. There's some people who went through some stuff before also. And so they are not the only ones who are having a little bit of trouble every now and then. And so when they hear the stories of these young men who have gone through a lot. And when I say gone through a lot, as you probably know, Dwight spent 25 years incarcerated. His guest spent 31 and a half years incarcerated. And so when you hear those stories of those young men, and they are still relatively young men, when you hear those stories uh, and what they are doing to help young people not get into the situations they got into, it helps you, it restores you every time you hear a story like that, because if you listen to some people, they would have you believe that every other minute there's somebody getting shot, and every other minute there's somebody getting attacked, and nobody cares about anybody anymore. Well, that just isn't true. That just is not true. And so those two young men you heard last week are examples of what can happen when people are, unfortunately, for whatever they've done, they've gone, they've paid their dues, they are back in society, but they're helping other people, particularly young folk and people who have been in the same situation that they're in. So I just want to say thank you, Dwight, and thank you to your guests for sharing your stories. And I believe that they talked about you can go to the Horatio Williams Foundation location. They have meetings on Wednesday evenings. I was watching. See, I just couldn't say anything, but I was watching. They have their meetings on Wednesday evenings at the Horatio Williams Foundation. Now, if you know where Horatio Williams is, let me help you know where it is. If you know where the Lafayette Clinic used to be, just go down that street and you will find to the very end, just before you get to Gratiot, right at the corner of Antietam, you will find Horatio Williams Foundation. And it is not just a location where people have meetings and people have give information. If you want to have a wonderful event, it's a wonderful space for events. I've been to many, many events at that location, and it's a wonderful spot. And so give him a call if you need a spot. It's a great spot. He's a great guy, Horatio Williams, and that foundation, that location that he's created there, a great spot in Detroit for people to gather and greet each other and have events. But it's also the location where these young men meet to help others on Wednesday evenings. Go, no, maybe it's Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday. Help others. On Wednesday, there's another location, and that one is on Russell at Gratiot at St. John's Church. And they have a meeting for people who just want to meet and greet in the community and talk about how they can help each other. Try to visit with them on Wednesdays at 6. Dwight Harris is one of the persons that helps out with that location. So try to help out with those people who are helping others. Our county clerk, Kathy Garrett, helps out at that location. So try to help out people who are helping others. Now, and I know you know what I'm going to talk about now. Tomorrow is election day. Tuesday, November the 4th. Second Tuesday in November. Always. It's not like it's a surprise. It's not like, oh my goodness, we're supposed to vote tomorrow. Don't say that. Been the second Tuesday in November for ages. Since, well, I won't say centuries, but ages, lots of years. Election day is tomorrow. You have all day long to go vote. You can start in the morning at 8 o'clock and you can finish in the evening. You have no excuse not to vote. I have here a sample ballot, And I know you're tired of me showing you this and talking about voting, but oh, too bad you're going to hear it again because you need to hear this. Because if you listen to what the city clerk has said, the prediction is that only about 23% of you are going to vote. That's sad. We're a city of over 600,000 people. How dare only 23% of you go vote? And but what really gets me is the 23% will go vote, but the 77% are going to complain. Now, all of you 77% who didn't vote, you have no right to complain. You can't say anything to anybody. Don't go running down to the city council about what you said, what you want, and what you don't like. Don't go running to the mayor talking about what I don't like and what you didn't do, and I didn't like how you do it. Don't go running to the police commissioners about what's going on with the police department. Don't do it because you don't have a right to do it. Because you didn't vote, which means that you didn't care. And so you didn't go to the polls and you didn't vote. So you don't have a right to say anything. Voting is a responsibility of all of us. And for those of you who don't vote, you have relinquished your right to say anything about anybody to anybody. Got that? Now, where do I vote? Well, you get something in the mail every year. Your voter registration card tells you where you vote. And if you don't know, ask somebody. Go, you young people, you do everything else online and on the internet and on your phone. Pick up your phone, ask Siri, where's my voting location? Give her your address and she'll tell you. Can you register the same day? Yes, you can. Did you know you can register to vote on election day? Michigan law allows for same day voter registration. Same day. You can register to vote in person at any time up until 8 p.m. on tomorrow from 8 to 8. Most of you are not working 12 hours. I just know you're not. And for those of you who are, you could have voted absentee or you could have gone to one of the early voting sites. They were all over the city. Now, what do you need to register to vote? You just need to prove that you're a resident of the city of the state of Michigan or the city of Detroit or whatever city you're voting in. You could have a Michigan driver's license. You must be a United States citizen. You must be at least 18 years of age. And you cannot currently be in jail or in prison. However, if you are in jail waiting a trial, you can still vote. You can vote absentee. If you are in jail and you have not been convicted yet, you can still vote. There are those who go to our jails for those people who have not been convicted of a crime yet, and they can vote absentee. You need proof of residency. That means where you live. You can use a driver's license. You can use a state ID. You can use a utility bill in your name. You can use a bank statement in your name with your address on it. You got a paycheck that came in your name. So don't give the excuse that, oh my, I didn't get registered, so I guess I can't vote. And today's election day, doggone it, I missed it. No, you didn't. No excuse. You didn't miss it. You still have time. Take your souls to the poll or get somebody to drive you. You get Ubered everywhere else. Get Uber to take you to the poll if need be. Or get one of those little scooters. You scooter everywhere else. Get on one of those little scooters and scoot your souls to the poll. But whatever that is, go vote. Who am I going to vote for? I don't even know what's going on. Well, let me tell you. If you're in Detroit, if you're in Southfield and many of the other surrounding communities, particularly Detroit, you're voting for mayor. If you're in Southfield, you're voting for mayor. If you're in Detroit, you're voting for mayor. You're voting for city council. And you're voting for the police commission. Now, There are 7 district seats in the city of Detroit. There are 2 at-large seats in the city of Detroit. And what does at-large mean? At-large means that they represent the entire city. 2 seats represent the entire city. 7 people are elected by district. So there are a total of 9 city council members. There are 7 districts. District 1. District 1 is on the west side. General area is, if you know where Grandmont Rosedale is, that's where District 1 is. Grand River, 6 Mile, 5 Mile, Outer Drive, Southfield, Telegraph, Evergreen, Lasher, all of those areas. That's District 1. District 2. District 2 is just to the west of District 1. District 2. We're looking now at 8 Mile, Woodward, Livernois, Wyoming, Outer Drive, 6 Mile, Palmer Park, Palmer Woods, University District, Bagley Community, 7 Mile in Woodward, Livernois. That's District 2. District 3. Now we're talking east side. If you know where Pershing High School is, if you know where the park is on Outer Drive, just east of Ryan Road, you know where Krantz Woods is, you know where Conant Gardens is, you know all those eastern areas, you know where Van Dyke and 7 Mile, you know where the Winans Church is, you know where Pastor Tillis's church is. All that, those east side, that's District 2. I'm sorry, that's District 3. Now District 4. District 4 is either further east than that. Now we're talking about Chalmers and Jefferson and Alter Road, Mack Avenue, far east side, East English Village, all of those eastern areas, just bordering Grosse Pointe and Harper Woods. That's District 4. And I'll mention that person because she's running unopposed. Letitia Johnson is the city council person in that district. I'll mention the person in District 1 who's running unopposed. That's James Tate Jr., District 1. That's Rosedale, Grandmont, and all things west. Now let's go to District 5. Now, District 5 is the district that was represented by Mary Sheffield. Because she is not running for that district, that seat was available. And so District 5 is the west side of downtown Detroit, Oakland Boulevard, Oakland Boulevard, uh, Northern High School. You know where Northern High School is? The building's still there. School is closed, but you know where Reverend Holly's church is. You know where the Grand Boulevard, and what else is over there? Well, it used to be Northeastern High School. It isn't there anymore, but that's where Northeastern and the North End, West Grand Boulevard, Boston Edison. All of those places rather, are the District 5 that has vacated when Mary Sheffield decided to run for mayor. There are 2 people running in that district, Renata Miller and Willie Burton. Again, District 5 is one of those squished up districts, but it represents downtown Detroit, the riverfront, and so on. Let's go to District 6. District 6 has 2 candidates. District 6 is what we have known as Southwest Detroit, bordering on River Rouge and Inkster, all those things right on the area of Southwest Detroit. Corktown is in District 6. The old train station is in District 6. So if you think about those areas, the post office down on the boulevard, at Jefferson is in District 6. So everything west is in District 6, bordering all the way to the city limits. That's District 6. There are 2 candidates in that district, Tyrone Carter and Gabrielle Santiago Romero. District 7. Now, District 7 is near and dear to my heart because that's the district I represented as a county commissioner and as a school board member. District 7 goes to the Dearborn city limits on the south. On the west, it goes to Dearborn Heights and Redford and Dearborn on the west. It is goes to Telegraph on the west. It goes to Schoolcraft on the north. Of course, on the south, it is Tyreman and down to Paul Street. And if you know where Ford Road is, it goes to Ford Road on the south. It goes to where McKenzie High School used to be. And now it's McKenzie Middle School, Elementary School. It's Livernois. It's Grand River. It's Warren. It's Wyoming. It's Schoolcraft. All of those areas, it's the aviation subdivision at Joy Road and Chicago and Greenfield and Myers, Grand River, Livernois. That's District 7. There are two candidates in that race, Denzel Anton McCampbell and Karen Whitson. The two candidates that I did not mention that are in the second district race are Angela Whitfield Callaway and Roy McAllister Jr. So don't say you didn't know. And if you don't know, I just told you. And if you still haven't heard, if you have somebody who didn't listen to this broadcast, um, send them to Siri. Ask Siri, who's in my district? Siri will tell you. Or go online or go to WVTC Radio Detroit and we'll tell you. It's online. We play it, all of it. WVTC Radio Detroit, it's all there. So you don't have an excuse not to vote. You just don't have an excuse. There's a mayor's race going on. One more time, let me tell you, if you don't vote, I don't want to see any of you going up to whoever wins the mayor's race and complain because you don't have a right to complain. And you probably need to think that that person is not going to respond to you, although they probably will. They're nice. But I can say this because I'm not running for mayor. I can tell them, you didn't vote, so I'm not listening to you. Don't complain to me. Obviously, it wasn't important to you enough for you to vote, so you didn't do it. So, two candidates running for mayor, Solomon Kinlock and Mary Sheffield. Our city clerk is up for election. Janice Winfrey is running unopposed. And I've talked about the city council persons in those districts. With the two at-large seats are up for election. There are 4 people running for those seats. Janae Ayers, James Harris, Mary Waters, and Coleman Young are the 2 incumbents. Now, you have something called community advisory councils. And I'll bet you didn't even know you had them, but you have them. Another way for you to express what you like, what you want for your particular district. Advisory councils up for election. You got 5 people you can select from. Vote. Police commissioners. Now, you know how you complain about the police did this. They jumped on somebody I know, or they didn't show up at all, or they gave me a ticket and I didn't deserve it, or they stopped me. I didn't run that red light. I just kind of eased on through it. I didn't mean to run it, but I did. And they stopped me. Well, I'll be darned. They stopped you for running a red light. Probably helped somebody not get killed. But the police commission, police commissioners are elected also. Police commissioners are elected persons. You get a choice to say what goes on with the police department. So you get it through the city council, but you also get it through the police commissioners. Police commissioners are candidates for office. They are candidates for office. Police commissioners, there are 7 districts. There are 7 districts. There are 7 districts. In District 5, now where's District 5? District 5 is downtown Detroit. East Side, Jefferson, Van Dyke, Agnes, Percival, Mount Elliott, East Side. Young lady running in that district is Beverly Watts. There is a young lady running in district. There are two running in District 6. Am I looking at District 6? Lisa Carter and Garrett Burton. District 7, Victoria Camille is running. Now in District 5, nobody filed to run in that race, and so it's a write-in. Now, what does write-in mean? Write-in means that there will be no name on the ballot for that district. And so what you have to do is write in the name of the person you think would be best for that seat. Literally, write in means what it says, write in. So you write in the candidate that you think is going to serve you best and represent your interests best as a police commissioner. Now, I know I've given you a lot of information. Now, come on, guys. This is not rocket science stuff. I know we are all brilliant people. We come from brilliant stock. We can do this. We can do this. But we have to have more than a 23% voter turnout to do this. Do you know that only about 1,400 people voted in early voting? Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? And I believe about 45,000 people so far have voted absentee. Isn't that sad? You know, we got more than 600,000 people. Are you telling me less than 100,000 people are going to determine who the representatives for this city are, will determine who the mayor will be, who the city council persons will be, who the police commissioners will be? That's embarrassing. But I go back to what I said before. Didn't vote. You don't have a right to complain. You have no right to complain. You have no right to be out there marching about what you liked and what you didn't like. You don't have a right to do any of that. None of that, because you chose not to vote. Now, I know that some of you are saying, well, I'll dare you say I don't have a right to complain. Said it, we'll say it again. You don't have a right to complain. Understand that. Now, mind you, that's just little old me, Miss Edna Bell, talking. Um, and I go way back to probably before a lot of you were born. And we did march and we did complain, but we also voted. So we had a right to do that. You didn't vote. You have no rights to do that. Sorry, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. We're going to be looking for a couple of people who are going to be dialing in shortly, simply to talk about what they think about voting. And if you have something you'd like to say about voting, let me hear you, because what can I say? I've given you my opinion. I've been giving you my opinion for the last 20 minutes. You know, you might disagree with my opinion. How about that? You might disagree with my opinion. However, everybody's got one. So do that. And while we do that, I want to just say a couple of things. Yesterday, we celebrated our new pastor at New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church, the Reverend M. Andrew Davis's first anniversary. We are so thrilled that we have our new pastor. Mr. Davis is doing a phenomenal job. We just appreciate him and love him dearly. Celebrated his first anniversary yesterday. And unfortunately, I was ill last week because I couldn't tell you about our celebration of our 101st church anniversary last Sunday. It was a grand time. I couldn't be there because I was ill. However, I did watch online. And it was a wonderful, wonderful celebration of our 101st anniversary of New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church. And you know, that church is made up of such wonderful people. And it grew out of a very small group of people who chose to serve God. And it is a combination of people who lived in what is known as Royal Oak Township and people who lived in the 8 Mile area. Now, for those of you who don't know, Royal Oak Township is a small community just north of Detroit, between Wyoming and on the Oakland County side, it was Scotia Road. On the Detroit side, it was Myers. Um, and at 8 Mile and 8.5 Mile. Now, that community produced some wonderful people. It was a tight knit community. But get this, we could not go to a school where we could walk in Oakland County. Get that. We could not go to Ferndale High School when we graduated from George Washington Carver Elementary Middle School. We could have walked to Ferndale High School. However, they chose to bus us from 8 Mile and Wyoming down to Woodward and Claremont every day. You know, racism is a costly event. Think of the money it costs for 9 buses, and we call them, and they were not the school buses that you guys, the little yellow school buses, you know. These were the big, we call them DSR, Detroit Rail Service, but uh, they were the big buses that you see on the streets every day. 9 of them picked us up in the morning every day and drove us down to Northern High School. And in the afternoon, 9 of them picked us up and drove us back down to 8 Mile and Wyoming to George Washington Carver Elementary School, where we got off the bus and went to our various homes. How costly is racism? Because that cost an awful lot of money just so that those little Black children could not be seen at one of the schools in Oakland County, because we lived in Oakland County. It was the southernmost community in Oakland County between Wyoming and Myers. And there were projects. They were built to house all of those workers who were coming to Detroit from the South to build the cars, to work in the factories. My father was one of them, as were that countless other parents of children who went to George Washington Carver Elementary School. And by the way, George Washington Carver Elementary School had a Black principal, Black assistant principal, and our teachers were all Black. And they took no prisoners. We knew more than most kids knew when they graduated from the 8th grade. We had science classes, we had history classes, we had dance classes, we had a choir. We had all of those things that would make us great, and it did. Because as we went to Northern High School, I want to tell you that graduating class up on top of graduating class, the presidents of those graduating classes almost always came from Royal Oak Township, George Washington Carver Elementary School. And why? And this is let me go back to a little bit of politics, because we had a concentrated group of people. We had a concentrated group of people who all went from kindergarten through 8th grade together. And once we got to high school, we all went from 9th grade to 12th grade together. We had known each other as long as we've been in school. And so when it came to electing folks, we knew each other and we were a concentrated group. Whereas the other members of the Northern High School classes were from all over the North End, all over the East Side, all over the West Side. And they didn't know each other the way we knew each other, and had not known each other for as long as we had known each other. And so when it came to elections, we always won president when we ran. We ran whatever we ran for, we won, simply because we had a concentrated group. So think about this. Those of you who want to run for a political office, if you live in an area and you've lived in that area for all your life, and you decide you want to run for an office in that particular district, guess why you win? Because everybody else in that area has lived there also. They've known you all your life. And why did I win elections when I lived in District 3, Area B, District 7, all those different, because I lived there. I lived there for 20 some odd years. My children went to school in there. I was the president of the PTA. I was in the Black Club. And that was all. The people knew me. That's why I won. That's how you win elections. But people have to know you. People have to believe you. People have to respect you. People have to believe that if you say you're going to do A, B, C, and D, you do A, B, C, and D. You don't done run off and do G, F, H, I, and F, and all those other letters of the alphabet. If they know you, they will support you. But again, you have to make sure that you support them. You have to make sure that when they call, you answer. If they need you, you're there. And so you just can't get up and decide, oh, I think I'm going to run for office today. I just moved here 2 weeks ago, but that's okay. I can do this. No, you can't. No, you can't. You need to make sure that the people that say you're going to represent know who you are. They know your history. They know that when your kids were in kindergarten and their kids were in kindergarten, they saw you at PTA meetings. They saw you volunteering. At Barton Elementary School, we used to have candy drives. We raised $35,000 in an elementary school on a candy drive. Can you believe it? Yes, we did. We bought the kids bikes. We did all sorts of things. We took our children when they graduated from the sixth grade, and we did have a small graduation in sixth grade. They went to Toronto for their sixth grade graduation trip. We took them to Toronto on buses. They started early understanding the value of college because they stayed at Hamilton University. I'm sorry, University of Toronto in Hamilton is where they stayed. They stayed on campus. They stayed in dorms. So those young people, I would dare say that probably 80, 90% of them went on to college because they had heard about it when they were in the sixth grade. They stayed in dorm rooms. Now, the funniest part is uh, we had the boys on one floor and the girls on another floor. Boy, did we have to monitor those stairways going up and down those stairs. Now we're talking about sixth grade now, and we were monitoring the whole the stairways of those kids. So the girls stayed on the girls' floor and the boys stayed on the boys' floor. But these kids were wonderful. But they had an opportunity to see college at that age. They stayed in the dorms. They had pizza parties. They had dances. We took them to the Needle in Toronto, and they had a chance to go see Toronto in the sixth grade. That's why many of those young people went on to be so very, very successful. Um, it was a blessing. We've gotten them now. My daughter Alicia, chair of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. Brian Love, director of Veterans Affairs for the state of Michigan. Sonia Johnson, uh, working for the school system, masters in social work. I mean, so many of these young people went on to be so very, very successful. And it's because of what they came from and the people that cared enough about them, the principals and the teachers. Those principals and teachers, those teachers cared about those young people. They cared enough to discipline them. They cared enough to make sure that if something was going on, the parents knew about it and were involved. So I just say to you, uh, people need to believe what you say because you've done it, because you've exhibited that they can believe you. That's what politics is about. Do what you say you're going to do. Support the people you're supposed to support. That's what it's about. We're going to go to a quick song in just a minute, and then we're going to come back and continue to talk about Election Day. Tomorrow is Election Day. Election Day, everybody. And when you say election, you know how much time it takes to vote? 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, if that long. You go in, you show them your ID, you tell them what your precinct is, you sign the little form, you go over, they give you your ballot, you go in the booth, you fill in the dots, and you're done. You are done. So it's not hard. Believe me, it's not hard. And unfortunately, the lines are not long. That's the heartache. The lines are not long. I think the longest line I've ever stood in to vote was when President Obama ran the first time in 2008. That's the longest time I've ever stood in a line to vote. I would love to be able to do that again. I would love to stand in line to vote for anybody, whoever's running for whatever. I'd love to be able to stand in line and say, wow, that was a long line. It took me a while to get through the line to get to my ballot. I'd love to say that again. Let's see if we can't figure out how to say that again. We do have an impetus to do that because you do know folks are about to lose their livelihood, their benefits that feed children. We've got federal workers who are not getting paid. These people have been in their jobs 20, 30 years. And imagine how you would be if you went without one paycheck. One paycheck. Just one. These people about to go without two. What would happen to you if you were not getting paid? That is a heartbreak. That should never be allowed to happen in this country or any country for that matter, but in this country particularly. For those people who are responsible for allowing that to happen ought to be ashamed of themselves. And why is it happening? Because you have one group of people who want to take health care away from another group of people, and another group of people saying, no, 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 you can't do that. These people can't go from paying $300 a month for health care to $900 a month for health care. Can you imagine if somebody said, okay, you pay $700 a month for rent today, tomorrow you got to pay $2,100 for rent? That's what it is. It's 3 times as much as you were paying. Could you handle that? And if you couldn't, and you got sick, or forbid it, your child got sick, you're just out of luck. Can you just imagine what would happen? I'm just really very sad that we've got people who are millionaires and billionaires who are deciding the fate for everyday Joe. Everyday Joe voted for these people and thought, oh, yeah, they like me. They got my best interests at heart. No, everyday Joe, they got their own best interests at heart because they're okay. Isn't it amazing that Congress is getting paid and you're not? No, come on. And they're not even at work because they decided they were too chicken to come and vote on it, so they just stay at home. Oh, isn't that amazing that they're still getting paid and you are not? Because they're government employees, make no mistake about it, they work for us, which means they're government employees. How about that? How about that? And they have the nerve to say that you don't deserve to get the amount of health care you're getting for what you're paying now. So we're just going to take that money and give it to the billionaires who don't need it. And you're just going to be out of luck. My. What a system we live under. But I say to you that God has a special place for people who treat people with disdain and disrespect. He has a special place for them, and his time will determine when he wants to share what that spot is. But he's got a special place for people who do that, who disregard the folk who put them in office, the folk who they're supposed to represent. And once, the last thing you want to do, excuse my language, is piss God off. That's the last thing you want to do is make God say, oh, really? So that's how you want to do it. You know, I can do it much better than you can do it, and I can show you better than I can tell you. So I suspect that that will happen. God will share with these people what it's going to be. And when they do receive their just desserts, it will not be as pleasant as they expect. And I wish no ill to anyone. I just wish God's will on them. I wish God's will on them. And that's what we should all wish for, that God will protect those who need protecting from those that they need protecting from, and will have those that they need protecting from in a position so that they can't hurt anyone. That's the last thing we want anybody to do is be hurt because um, of just mean spirit, because of money, because I say, because I want. That's not how God operates. But I simply say to you, and this too shall pass. And I want to say to our listeners that God has a special place for those folk who do things to his people. He has a special place for them. Um, I don't know where that is, but wherever it is, he'll decide where it is. And those who are unjustly attacked will see the lighter side of it. We'll see the lighter side of it. Um, we all know that we've been through rough times before. And unfortunately, because we've been through rough times before, we know how to handle rough times. Everybody doesn't know how to handle rough times. So we're going to get through this. Know that we will get through this because we know how to handle rough times. We've been through those before. And God willing, we will all come out the other side a lot better than some folks are today. We pray for those folks who are in government jobs, who are not getting paid, who will need assistance. We pray for those young people who reduce SNAP benefits, who may not get them. I understand the governor of Michigan and some other states are trying to make arrangements so that they will be able to allow those folk to get what they need. And I pray that will happen. However, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. We're going to sign off now. And we're going to tell you, folks, we'll see you next Monday. And I'm going to tell you how wonderful you were because you went to vote. More than 20% of you are going to vote. More than 23% of you are going to vote. I just know you are. I just know you're going to do the right thing. I just know you are. So I'll tell you what those numbers are next week, and we'll talk about who the winners are and how we move forward. So have a great day. Hopefully, I'll see somebody at the polls tomorrow because I don't absentee vote. I go to the polls every election. I go to the polls every election for the last 64 years. And I will continue to do it, God willing, for the next, maybe not 64. How about the next 24? I'll take that. Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday. This has been the Community Bell Show. WVTC Radio, Stellar Award winning radio station. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.